Welcome back to day 3 of the 2022 Success Path Planning Workshop. I hope you're feeling inspired after yesterday's session when you realize everything that you've achieved in 2021. Remember, it's not about what you didn't do, but about what you did do. And if you want to focus on what you didn't do, it's how you need to learn from that to make this year even better. Don't beat yourself up for what you didn't achieve. That's not the goal here. But today we are looking forwards and creating some big audacious goals for you that I hope are going to get a little bit uncomfortable actually. There's a lot to get into, so let's dive straight into it. You are going to be starting on page 4 of the planner today, starting with the section, understanding what you want. There are 5 questions you're going to answer, and the goal here is to stretch yourself. I want you to not put a time box around this. I want you to think big and scary. I actually often think like, what do I want one day, right? Rather than like, what can I achieve this year? That's not the goal with this particular section of the planning. We're going to be coming to planning for the actual year and the quarter at the end of the week. Right now, I want you to put yourself in the right direction, okay? So there are 5 questions on that page starting under the understanding what you want section, and we're just going to dig into these right now. The first question, what lights you up? This is about understanding what excites you. What do you need in order to push through the tough times to do something amazing? How have you been a change agent and been inspired to change the world in some way? What is it that really lights you up? So for me, I really do think I'm here to change the world. That's not for everybody, right? Like I have a thing that I want to do to change the world, and that's essential to me. Other people that I've worked with, it's very much about what lights them up is their kids, and they want to make enough money to give their kids an amazing life. For others, it's I'm excited about traveling the world in some way. Like, what is it that lights you up? Have a look at your reflections from yesterday if you're struggling with this one. There may be some nuggets in there, like what almost puts a spring in your step? Like, what is it that will get you through the tough times? What is it that you'll do some hard work right now that's uncomfortable, that maybe triggers you in some way, but you're going to push through it. You're going to push through the procrastination of being uncomfortable with it because there is something at the end that's worth doing. That's the first question. The second question is, what is your current goal? You probably have more than one at this point, in fact, so write them all down. This might be the first time you've ever written them down, but I bet they've been swirling in your head. It might be as simple as get the next job, or be successful in my current job, or finish my current education. Like whatever it is, it doesn't matter, just get them written down. If you do have something that you're like, well, can I write that down? It feels a bit like audacious to say that out loud. You're not saying it out loud. This is in your planner that you don't have to share with another human being if you don't want to. Write it down. Like, my goals are big, and actually I had a conversation with a client recently about how her goals scared her a little bit, and I completely understand that. Like, sometimes it's okay to be a little bit intimidated by your own ambition, right? So just write them all down. If they're big, if they're small, I don't care. Get them written down. Let's write them down. That's your starting point here. Then the next question is going to be, how does that goal inspire you? How do those goals inspire you? Does it help you be that change agent that you wanted in that first question? How can you change and adapt that goal or goals to be bigger and achieve more? You know the direction of travel now. You've got the what lights me up, right? You've got the thing that you're aiming for in terms of like what really drives me. You have your current goals. So how do the current goals need to be morphed to make them bigger, but in the right direction of travel? That's what that third question is all about. The fourth question is, consider that adaptation. Now that you have that, what is the biggest overarching goal that you can think of that would help you do more of what lights you up, right? This also comes back all the way to your why that we did on the first page, that theme, the underlying purpose, sense of direction that you want to be in. Because your biggest goal at this point should really be a vision, right? So it's taking your vision, if you did an anti-vision and a vision in the first day, taking that and deciding this is the direction of travel that I want to be in. So here's my big goal. So I have 100 sub goals all the time. I'd call them projects more than goals. And I do actually put them into my task management system. I have a whole triage process to make sure I'm not tackling too many things at once. But I have one overarching big goal, and that's what I want you to get at here. Like, what is the biggest thing that kind of covers all the other things that you said right now? They're all in the same direction. If they're not all in the same direction, is there any way that you can get them in the same direction? If they're still not, I strongly encourage you to pick one one direction travel. You cannot drive north and south at the same time, right? If you have two different directions, you can't come up with a banner that covers both directions. You're going to have this tension pulling you apart, and you're not going to actually achieve as much. You can't drive in two directions at the same time. You can't walk left and walk right at the same time. That's what I'm getting at here. You have to think, like, how can I bring these under one banner? And if I can't, what am I going to let go of right now? Right? Sometimes it is about getting clarity. So have your direction of travel be very vague, but then your first set of actions that we're going to get to, not right now, are going to give you that clarity you need. So I want you to think big and scary here, like what is totally outside your comfort zone? And then the final question, which is actually on the next page, what time frame can you put around this big goal? Now, you don't have to have something here that you're going to have to stick to, right? So I like to have time frames because I think it makes it more immediate. Like, oh, I need to take some action today, right? If you just say, I'm going to change the world in some specific way, but you don't put a time frame around it, are you actually ever going to take action? So I do like to put time frames. Then what I like to do is tweak that time frame to feel uncomfortable. So pick a time frame. Like, I wouldn't necessarily make it this year. So my goal is actually for 2025. I'm going to tell you my goal in a minute. But it is still uncomfortable. It's a big enough thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually don't know how I'm going to do all the steps. Actually, I've had that goal for a number of years now, so it's kind of becoming more and more clear. I now feel like I have all the pieces in place. It's a matter of now growing it to get there. But when I first came up with that goal with the 2025 timeline, I was properly intimidated. I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to get there. I want this to be uncomfortable for you. This is where the extraordinary stuff comes from. Because once you've answered those 5 questions, it's time to write out a purpose statement. Now, this is split into 2 parts. As you'll see, there's 2 boxes there. The first is simply what you are going to do. So, for example, my purpose, the thing that I was a little bit intimidated by, is to make the world of tech more diverse and inclusive. That might not sound intimidating to you, but you're gonna hear why it is in a minute, because the second part is how you're going to do that. This is where you're going to get specific. So mine is that I will be assisting 2,000 women into leadership roles by 2025 through my coaching and training programs. Right? Suddenly, I'm like, 2025, 2,000 women through my programs. Wow, that's me directly assisting those people. I can't do that through one-on-one coaching. This is why when I first came up with this, I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to do this. I want you to play around with the format. I've given you a template there. As you'll have seen, even mine isn't actually following that template. I've tweaked it over the years. But basically, you want some numbers in there, you want a deadline, and you want roughly how, that big picture how. So initially, when I first wrote that a few years ago, mine was, through working with me, right? I didn't know how I was going to get those women into those roles. And I'm now very clear, it's my coaching and my training, that's all coming together. I want you to think big here, and I want you to put it into that statement. And yes, it should be a little bit uncomfortable because we want to push you this year. That doesn't mean you're going to beat yourself up when you don't get there. Like, you can push the time frame out, absolutely. But I want you to be like, okay, I'm on a proper road to something extraordinary. Take your time to do this and get it right, because tomorrow we're going to start breaking it down into some sub goals and milestones that you can actually achieve in the next year, or if it's a 5-year goal like mine, in the next few years, and you're going to break it down and also identify the resources you need, so that by the end of the week, we are going to put in place a quarterly plan for you for the next quarter, all mapped out. Sound good? Excellent. I look forward to seeing you in Slack and sharing with me, if you feel able to, some of those big audacious goals you've got. But otherwise, I will see you tomorrow.